Hi guys, this is Kelsey from the Lost Book Reports, and this is my book review of Dance the Moon Down by R.L. Bartram. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually review my books, kind of how I did it on my blog. This way I try not to mumble so much and get off track. So first I'm going to give a quick summary of the book, which is the book is based in World War I England, and it's about this girl named Victoria who comes from a high-class family, or a high middle-class family, and she's well educated, but she kind of throws it all away to go and live or marry this man that she ever dreams, Gerald, who's this poet. So they go off and they live in the countryside of England. World War I breaks out, like any good patriotic countryman. He goes and he volunteers for his military, his army. And while he's gone, Victoria is left to kind of take care of things on her own. And he goes missing, and while he goes missing, Victoria's kind of has to fend for herself and make her own way in the world. So it's interesting to see who she meets and how she survives along the way during the war. The plot is a good plot. I enjoyed reading it. It's definitely a lifestyle plot. It takes a while. It's a little longer, a little slower. It's not action-packed or anything like that. But I enjoyed it. I really thought it was beautiful, and it was one of those books that made me want to write a screenplay. It made me picture how I would do it if I was a director or a cinematographer. You know, how I would want it to play out and look. And I think that's very rare, actually, for me at least, to have a book that makes me actually picture it in that way and want to see it played out that way and to make me want to do something about it almost. It's very beautiful, a great plot, very authentic to the times, and definitely a good historical fiction read. Then there's the characters. Mainly the main character is Victoria, who is a little naive, but not too naive. She's a strong woman. She knows what she needs to do, and sometimes she gets herself in a little bit of trouble, but only because she's trying to do the right thing. She has her friend, whose name I've already forgot, who's a woman suffragette. So that's kind of cool to see that part of what was going on in England at the time of women trying to fight for their rights. Then she meets some friends later down the road who I liked, and it was cool to see the less educated women in the stories. She meets a nice military man, and that was a very intriguing part of the book. I liked that a lot. The characters are nicely written, but they don't detract from Victoria and her story, which was good to see. Then my prose of this book, I wouldn't say I have any distinct prose, just that it really has it gives you a nice feeling. It kind of reminded me of Atonement, and it definitely was easy for me to put myself in that position. So I appreciated that a lot. My cons for the book are definitely the cover, because the cover makes me think that this is going to be some creepy murder ghost story. So I think the cover needs to be something a little more romantic, a little more old school a little bit, just something that will grab your attention and make you gravitate towards this book, not gravitate away from the book, which I think it does, and maybe change the name. I think it was referenced a little bit in the book, but I don't remember really, and it's not, although it's a pretty title, it doesn't do well for you to know what the book's about. And then my only other con, which isn't really a con, but something just a personal preference, is I wish that the ending was a little longer. I wish that I got an epilogue. That's what I wanted, an epilogue to the story, and I don't feel like I really necessarily got the epilogue. But then, you know, it's a lifestyle book. You don't necessarily get your epilogues in life, really, until later down the line. My final thoughts, though, on the book are that it's definitely a good read, and I don't think people should pass up on it, because I know it looks like a book that could easily be passed up on, that doesn't look like it would be your style or you're interested in, and it shouldn't be passed up on. It is a good read, especially if you're into historical fiction, if you're into World War I era, if you're into Downton Abbey, if you're into any of that kind of, or lifestyle books, or books that are just beautifully written, then this is the book for you. You need to pick it up. You will definitely enjoy it, I promise. And I also want to send a quick apology to R.L. Bartram, because he sent me this book probably, I think, in January, although he'd asked me in like a year ago, almost a year ago, to review the book, and I'm sorry it took me so long to get to it, but it was well worth it. Thank you so much, and I'm going to leave links to where you can buy the book down below.